Well, they've got just short of 500 metres and a lead for Greece. Kalamata, Greece leading this sea final at the moment. The work is almost done back down at the start for the stake boat boys and girls, for the aligner who lines them all up, and for the two tower starters who have been getting off these ED and C finals. Marie-Louise Coppi from France and Nikki Soumali of Greece. I'm sure if she knew how the Greek sculler Kalamata was doing in this race, she'd be extremely pleased. Half a length advantage ahead of the Croatian sculler Kyrgios as they come towards 750. Then about a length down on the Croatian sculler, it's Hayward of the United States. She in turn has a length or a little bit more than that ahead of Sula of Tunisia. And then in the second last race of the day, at the back of the field, Yumes of Estonia. And these scullers now spread out into that more to be expected arrowhead shape, because the crews that are faster on paper are faster in qualifying for any particular race, they end up in the centre lanes. But as I mentioned earlier on, we've had several exceptions to that this weekend, including one where, intriguingly like pearls on a chain, it was lanes 1 through to 6. But here it's lane 3 in the lead, Kalamata of Greece leading the field down. And for those of you who have stayed on after the A finals today, plenty of rowing and sculling that we've been able to offer you of world standard. Kalamata certainly pushing it all the way there. She had a little extra squeeze now, just coming up to about 900 metres, and that's really shaken off the Croatian challenge in the lane next to her. And clear water now between the stern of the Greek boat and the bow of the Croatian boat. So over a length advantage at the head of the field for Kalamata. Hayward of the United States, one of the older, the 18-year-old participants in this race, the oldest in fact indeed, and the three youngest are in the three central lanes, who could all well be appearing here again. And Kyrgios of Croatia, the youngest of all, turned 16 this June, and we may well see her another 2 times, therefore, with a bit of luck and a bit of dedication on her part and support from her federation. Croatia very strong on rowing, plenty of water on which to practice, and if she stays the course, another 2 World Rowing Championships potentially in front of her, and a move up, therefore, likely over the next 2 years of further growth and maturity, both physically and of her rowing, over the next 2 years, up from a C final, perhaps to B, and then indeed to A, and possibly even a medal, who knows, in the years to come. C final, this particular one, just 5 boats in it, so instead of deciding places 13 through 18, it's 13 to 17 in the world rankings this year. We've got over a third of the course still to come, and Kalamata of Greece is well aware of that. She's got to keep a little bit in reserve. She's being pushed harder again now by the Croatian sculler in the lane next to her. The United States sculler Hayward looking round again and again to see just where Kalamata is. She can't really see puddles 2 or 3 lanes away. She can see what the Croatian sculler in the lane next to her is doing, because that's easy to see out of the corner of one's eye as long as one's still got an overlap. But harder to keep an eye on someone who's a couple of lanes away and has got a clear water advantage. Really had to look right round, but that's a skill one has to learn very early on as a sculler, because you do all the steering, you're going backwards, it's not like canoeing, and on many rivers you've got to look out for bridges and trees sticking out into the water, other oarsmen and women, of course, and all sorts of other obstructions, including that particularly friendly group known as fishermen, who sometimes forget to call out to people who are going backwards and don't have eyes in the back of their head to see very thin fishing lines. But there's room on the water for everybody, I'm glad to say, particularly on good big broad rivers like the Tideway, the Thames, the tidal part of the Thames not far from here, and of course rivers like the Rhine offer plenty of space for maritime transport as well as all the other users. And water's there to be shared sensibly and used well, and rowing fits in very well as an environmentally extremely friendly sport into that surrounding. And Kalamata at 1500, well, I'm not sure how environmentally friendly thoughts are on her mind at the moment. It's starting to look very tired. The lactate levels are rising in those legs. She's still pumping away, but it's starting to look exhausting. And the Croatian sculler has got another set of batteries on board, one feels. Almost got a second wind. She's closed right up now, looking a lot more dynamic at the moment than the Greek sculler. But perhaps Kalamata will get a wind back in a moment or two and shove out further in front. Quite a gap between that leading duo now, and Haywood of the United States still looking back over her left-hand shoulder. Tunisian sculler Sula doing her own thing, as she's been doing for most of the race. She's got no one immediately in front of her. She's got no particular pressure from Yumes of Estonia over to her left in the lane behind her. Got us carry on doing her own thing. Keep ahead of the umpire's launch is the message there. She looked across to the umpire, who, of course, has to look at all 5 boats to check that they're all steering straight. If he sees any sign of anyone wobbling offline, he'll give a signal, shout to the appropriate lane and give a flag signal to point in which direction the steering should be going, but he's not having to intervene here. Flat, calm conditions as we've had for the bulk of the day here. A delight on which to scull, and a delight for those of you still around to watch this race. We're now getting the pictures from the top of the tower, the top of the announcers and timekeeping tower there. And you can see that the Croatian sculler has now overtaken Greece. As I felt a little while ago, it did look as if it was getting very tiring in the Greek boat, and Croatian just more held in reserve for this second half. But as I speak, that's almost been like a gauntlet thrown down to the Greek sculler. She's now really lifting it and going again and trying to catch back up. Suddenly come from nowhere after looking almost exhausted. She's now winding it up at the line. Very quick, punishing finish to that. And it looks, in fact, as if the Greek bows are going to get to the line first. That will be another win for Hellas in this sea final, and therefore 13th overall in the World Junior rankings in the single sculls. Croatia second, so that was a real ding-dong battle all the way. The lead changing hands several times. That's how it should be. Very exciting stuff to almost complete this program. We've got one more race today. My colleague Robert Tran-Jones will be talking that down. Goodbye from me, though, Paul Castle, in this particular car, and we look forward to providing you further course commentary for the racing tomorrow.
Yes, thank you very much indeed, Paul. Your work is done. A very good day's work as well.